Guys, welcome back to the Reed Homestead. Today we're whipping up a batch of Reed's wild watermelon sauce. Should be a little hotter this year. I used a lot more Reaper, so I have about 50 red Reapers in there. I've got about 30 or 40 peach Reapers. I wrote it down somewhere, and then a bunch of ghost peppers. Few red habaneros for the sting, like I normally do. This is the mash. So this has been, I fermented October 22nd. You can see, there's the mash. So October 22nd until today, January 28th. So it's about a 3-month ferment. I'm going to bring this to a soft boil, kill off any bacteria that's still working in here. So I had a mason jar, basically a quart of the mash, which was basically Reapers, red Reapers, peach Reapers, ghost peppers, habaneros, some onion. I think I used about an onion, a whole onion, and 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. And then it's 2.4%, I think I did, of salt this year, just to ensure. They say 2.2, but I want 2.4%. just to make sure that no yeast developed. So the more salt you have in your mash, the less likelihood you'll have a yeast film on the top. Not that that's a problem. It's fairly typical with a lot of ferments. But to avoid that, you just add a little more salt to your fermentation. If you do get a yeasty film on top, you could just throw it in to the fridge. It's called cold freezing it. So if you want to stop that process, there's 2 things you could do. Add more salt to the mash. Take it out of the jar, add more salt, mix it up, put it back into a clean jar. And I use a lid that has breathability. So you can find these at Walmart, specifically made for fermentations. So it's like a normal lid, but it's got holes that allow air out but not let air in. So perfect for fermentations. I got 2 of those. So I would put it back into a clean jar, add salt, and that should cure the problem. If it doesn't, then just throw it in the fridge. And it's called cold freezing. You're stopping the fermentation process altogether. But here it is. I'm just going to bring this to a soft boil. I got it just on low, medium, low heat. Alright, so we're going to bring this to a soft boil. I've already pureed some. One sec, I'll show you. So here's the watermelon. Fresh watermelon, already pureed and ready to go. I'll add this to the sauce. We're going to boil all of this together. That's starting to steam. So I'm going to turn the fan on here. But we'll add this watermelon puree, a little sugar, bring it to a boil. And then we don't want too much sugar. If you put too much in there, it makes it volatile. So that's when you go to bottle it up and it pops. That's the volatility. So again, it's just a mason jar of the fermentation, 3-month ferment, a mason jar of vinegar, part vinegar, 1/2 part vinegar, 1/2 part water. Fresh 0 water. So there's no impurities in this. This mash came out really, really good this year. Look at that. Look at the color. Yeah. So there is peach in there, and you can see the peach reaper. Seeds are still in there. All the placenta from the peppers. Oh, that's got some heat in it. So let's keep this going, and I'll show you the rest of the process. One sec. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, one sec. Kids just got home from school, so anyhow, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add this watermelon puree. I'd like to do about a quart and a half. Oh, that's still cold. So we're just gonna mix that up a little bit. Don't want it coming out in a clump. So we're gonna mix that up. It smells great. I'm gonna add that to the mason jar just to get a bit of a measure. You don't have to be real precise on this. You know, if you like, you can add more. Just pour it in. You can add a little more. We'll add a little more just to make it a little extra watermelon. That's about a quart and a third of watermelon puree right into the reaper / vinegar / water mixture. Okay, I did add about a tablespoon of kosher salt to that, which dissolves really easily. That'll counteract the sugars in the watermelon. Some people say, you know, now is the time to flavor this. If you want to add onion powder or garlic powder or ginger powder, I'd caution against that. If you do, make sure to add salt to counteract that. Otherwise, that could start fermenting again, and you'll have very volatile bottles, and they could, you know, pop when you open them. So you don't want a volatile bottle. The boiling process will take care of a lot of this. You know, I had it to a slow boil after adding the watermelon. It's got to catch back up, but as you see, we're just going to boil that up. This year is very fresh, very hot, so I think a little extra watermelon will be good. And then at the end, depending on the thickness, we may or may not add some xanthan gum. And xanthan gum will basically it'll add a little thickness to the sauce and keep it from separating out. So you don't want, you know, the bottom of your bottle to be, you know, half sauce and the top of it to be vinegar water. So that's what happens, it separates. That's why people add xanthan gum. That, and it thickens the sauce up a little bit. So one sec, we'll be right back. So what we're doing is bringing this to a soft boil, and in the meantime I'm going to go ahead and wash out the blender so we can, once this gets boiling and ready to go, we're going to go ahead and throw it in the blender and then throw it back on the stove, bring it to a boil again. We'll check the consistency at that point. Okay, be right back. And while we're waiting, here's the fermentation lid for the mason jar. It's made by Ball, and you can see the holes there. That allows air out, so all your CO2 will be able to escape, but no air will get in. So that's perfect for fermentation. I think I got that at I think I got that at Walmart. You get two of them, two of those lids. It also comes with a compression wire rack type thing that you can, if you're used to doing your fermentation in liquid, you could use that to hold your product down. I don't use those, so I just do mash all the way up to the top, put a little paper lid over the top, and you know, that's pretty much it. So I don't ferment in liquids. Anyhow, that's the lid. All right, so I just threw the lid on just to kind of jumpstart that a little bit. And I already know, so this is an Oster blender. I had a bigger pitcher on this. It's glass, so it's heat resistant. I know that's not going to hold this whole pot right here. So I have just a clean French press here that once I puree some of it, I'll pour it into the French press and then puree the rest of this mixture, add it back into the pot, and we'll check it for consistency, let it, you know, soft boil for a little while longer. You can see that's not boiling hot or anything. Turn the heat up a little bit on that and keep the process going. All right, so here we go. We'll be right back. All right, so you'll see the froth right here, and all this is, that's from the watermelon basically, but it's really starting to steam up again, so that's good. Watermelon's coming back up to temperature. And the idea here again is to halt the fermentation process, so bringing it to a soft boil, you know, 15-20 minutes. You're going to kill all the bacillium that's in this. You know, basically the fermentation process, that's what jump starts the ferment. You're going to kill all that healthy bacteria, and that'll stop the fermentation process. That's the goal. That's why you do a soft boil with your hot sauce. All right, be right back. Now another thing, the reason you don't want to do a hard boil on this, you don't want to do this really over high heat. You know, you do it low, medium, low. So I have that set on of 3, basically, right between low and medium. So low, medium, low. If you get this too hot, you run the risk of burning peppers. You'll get that scald. So you want to keep an eye on this. You know, you can see it steaming. Keep an eye on it. Don't walk away. Don't put it on high heat. Stir it frequently. You don't want to scald or burn any of these peppers to the bottom of the pan. That'll ruin your whole batch. So we had a quart of the mash ferment. We did another quart of half vinegar, half water, distilled water, spring water. I have 0 water through a filter that I use. About a tablespoon of salt. You could add a little more if you're nervous about the fermentation, but that'll help, you know, end the fermentation process, as will the boiling process. Okay, so all this is to make it a stable product and a tasty one. All right, so be careful. Don't get this on high heat and walk away. If you burn this, you'll ruin your batch. All right, be right back. All right, so you can see how this foam is lessening and it's starting to change colors. It's going from that white to orange. Okay, that's telling you that the boil is starting to integrate the hot sauce into the watermelon. So we should have just about 3.5 quarts. Again, quart of the ferment, a quart of vinegar water, basically, half and half, a quart and a third of, whoa, that's hot. A quart and a third of the watermelon puree. So, excuse me. Should have about 3.5 quarts altogether when we're done. Be right back. All right, word to the wise too. My wife is getting her hair done, so I picked today to do this. The kids I sent to an opposite side of the house and had them close their doors. Normally I would have the fan on too, so for video purposes I'm just letting this go. But that's about as hard a boil as you want with this. Just out of caution, you don't want to burn those peppers. Be right back. Alright, so I did bring the heat down to just under 2, so low heat. You can see now all that froth has been removed, which tells me that the sugar is fully integrated into the hot sauce. So it's no longer going to be an issue. Shouldn't be volatile at all. What we're going to do is, let's see, it's been about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So we're pretty much done. I'm going to let this go for another 5 minutes just to make sure. Maybe just bump it a little bit. Get it just above 2. You can see that's a low boil. That's called a slow boil. Simmer. That's basically what you're doing. That heat is killing off any of the bacillium left, so it won't continue fermenting. The sugars from the watermelon are probably fully integrated by now. We're going to let it go another 5 minutes just to make sure. And then we're going to let this cool and move it over to the blender. Be right back. Yeah, so, and by the way, the music in the background, note to YouTube, is Public, North Carolina Public Radio, 100.7 here in Central Carolina. Don't want to get any dings or in trouble. So, public radio, no big deal. Also, these bottles you can buy. I think I bought 50 of them. They come with labels, the tops, and then the shrink wrap. So if you have a heating gun, that works. I think I got those on eBay. You get 50 for like 35 bucks or 40 bucks or something like that. So they work well. But this is what it is, and it's basically family and friends. Give it to neighbors and stuff, people that like hot sauce. Everyone seems to enjoy the wild watermelon. So I may sell some on eBay for like $8, no shipping, you know. We'll see. If you guys are interested, you know, just let me know. Maybe I'll list some. But for now, this is what we got. I've also got a bunch of crushed Reaper that I put through the dehydrator. So Reaper pepper. So I'm going to make some extract out of that. We'll do a separate video on that. I can only talk for a couple of minutes at a time before this really takes over. So I got to put the fan on, and I'll be right back. All right, so now we're just going to turn the heat off. This is looking pretty good. Let's see. I do use seedless watermelon. Whoa, can't get too close to that. I use seedless watermelon, but there's always going to be 1 or 2 watermelon seeds in there. So you'll see those. There's maybe a couple of them. You see them from time to time. Little black ones. Those are watermelon seeds. So, anyhow, we're going to take this off the heat, turn the heat off, bring it over here, and let it cool, and we'll be right back. All right, so just to show you what it looks like before we put it through the puree. You know, pretty good. It's all integrated. There's the Reaper. Onion, garlic. About 90 Reapers. Let's say about 50 red ones, 40 peach, and then Ghost and Habanero in there with a whole onion, about 5 cloves of garlic, and just salt, a little watermelon, some sugar. Bada bing, bada bang. A couple other things, we'll get to that, but we're gonna let this cool a little more. Oh, we're gonna let that cool a little more and then puree it. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and transport this to the blender. Let me go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. Right. So we got that in there, all right. We're gonna start off on low, and then, you've got 2 different speeds here. Low, high. We're gonna start off on low. I can't read all these things without my glasses. We're gonna start off here, then go to here in the middle, then bump it up. Then we're gonna change this to high, and do the same thing, okay? Be right back. All right, so we just got done blending it. We're gonna carefully transport this right to the French press. Hang on one second, I need that finger so I can get this loose. There we go. Okay. Just kind of easily. Now the good thing about a French press is it's also got heat resistant glass, so that's good. Set that back in, and then we'll transport the rest of this to the blender and do the same process. All right, so we did the second batch. It is done. Just bring it over. Carefully pour it right in the middle. Oh. Oh boy, that's hot. Careful of the splatter, and keep your distance. I've got 2 windows open. Cross breeze going in the kitchen. Here's the French press. Okay. Okay. We're going to check it for consistency. Okay. Now, if you like your sauce kind of thin and juicy, then that's not bad. Let's see. It's still got a lot of the peppers are in there, which I like. That tells the person using the hot sauce that, yes, it's got hot peppers in there. So we're going to go ahead and add a little xanthan gum. I'll show you how to do that real quick. All right, so here is xanthan gum. And I'm going to do just a half a teaspoon at a time here. It's still hot. Pardon me. Just a half a teaspoon at a time. This stuff really works. So it doesn't add any taste to the, sorry about that. It doesn't add any taste to the mixture. So it's very neutral. What did I do with my batter? One sec. It doesn't add any flavor to the mixture. Okay, so, but you could overdo it. So just small amounts at a time. This is just a small whisker or whisking utensil. Okay. And again, what xanthan, pardon me, what xanthan does is that keeps the sauce from separating in the bottle. So if it's been sitting there for a while, the xanthan gum will keep that nice and mixed. Just give it a good blend. Man, that is hot. There's the pepper seed. It's a half a teaspoon. That should be okay. Should be enough. I'm going to let that cool down a little bit and check it again. And we'll be right back. So I just checked it for consistency. And I think what I'm going to do is just, it's still pretty thin. I'm going to add another 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan. So you just want to do, like I said, a little at a time. I mean, I wouldn't start off doing a whole teaspoon. Even though with this amount, that might be okay. If you overdo it, it'll come out like ketchup. And that's not what you want your hot sauce to be like. You do want it a thin consistency, but you also don't want it so thin that the peppers and the vinegar water separate. So this will combine it and thicken it just up just a little bit. It's not like adding flour. Let's just put it that way. It's not going to thicken it up that much. But if you overdo it, it could. So I guess in that respect, it is like flour. Just mix it in. It doesn't affect the taste. There's no salty or baking soda or anything like that. There's no taste at all. Very neutral. Now, look at that. Pepper's all sticking to the whisking utensil. See it in there? Peach and red reapers. All right, so we're going to let that cool. And we'll check it again. I'm sure it's done. I think just check the consistency. That's looking pretty good. Still thin enough. You know, where it's going to pour out of the bottle easily. See that? Look at all the peppers. It's going to be hot, I can tell you that. Now, this is my 4th year making hot sauce, so by no means an expert at it, but I have figured out the process pretty well. You know, my first year I just made it just vinegar, water, sugar. I think I actually put carrot in the ferment. Don't do that. It doesn't work as well. So anyhow, yeah, you don't want to add carrots and, you know, cabbage or anything like that. You could try some pepper, green, like bell peppers, if it matches up with the color of the sauce. I just use garlic and onion. That's what's worked best. What I noticed after my first year, you know, it's basically just hot. It's just hot sauce. There wasn't much flavor. So with my next batch, I'm going to do a blueberry sauce, blueberry fire or something like that. I've also got a pumpkin spice reaper sauce that I made this fall. But people really like that one too. It's basically this with some pumpkin spice, some allspice, so cloves in there. It's pretty good. So it's got that fall zing to it and smokiness. That's really good. But I think this is done. That's it. Reed's Wild Watermelon Sauce 2024/25. It's about a 3-month, just over a 3-month ferment. So it came out really well this year. We're looking forward to it. I'm going to let this cool down. Then I'm going to transport it over to some mason jars. And then we'll bottle it up. That's it. It's been about a half an hour, but I wanted to show you the whole process. A lot of times you don't see the whole process. Wanted to take you through it. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or a question, and I'll answer it as best I can. Until the next time, guys, this is the Reed Homestead saying God bless. Have a great night. See ya.